Remember, wherever it is that that personality sun is. So I have it in order from personality sun around the wheel: initiation, then civilization, duality, and mutation. In other words, purpose fulfilled through mind, purpose fulfilled through form, purpose fulfilled through relationships or bonding, and purpose fulfilled through transformation. So when you look at this, remember the first part of the quarter is about the initiation of whatever that is. So the initiation of mind's learning, and then the fulfillment, the second part, or the form relative to the civilizing effect of form. The first part of that is learning, and the second part of the quarter is the fulfillment. Same thing, same pattern here with duality. We're looking at the ability to bond and make more, and then be able to care for the product of that making more. So ensuring our survival as a species, not just individuals, and then, or families. And then we have the last bit, transformation, mutation, first learning, and then second part, fulfillment. So that's what I usually just keep in mind. You'll notice that in a lot of this work that we do, we're looking at layers and layers and layers of keynotes. And sometimes, especially in the beginning, when you haven't been able to hold two different perspectives or perceptual realities in tandem, like getting really rigid mentally or inflexible about the fact that there are repeating patterns and layers of keynotes, and that some keynotes on one level, line quality as an example, might be different underneath at another level, either through color or tone or bass even. So just holding that and then adding on this huge archetypal awareness that each one of us has a role to play. The reason why we're looking at these now is because when somebody is born with one of these crosses, and here is an example, hexagram 13, juxtaposition cross of listening, left angle cross of masks, you have the channel 4323 that is a consistent, fixed, reliable, trustworthy aspect of their life's work. Not just, okay, some of the nuances and subtleties coming together, but it's part of their life's work. And then if you take a bigger step back to look at all of these, which is what we're going to do without too much dialogue to help us get a sense for the movement. So what we're doing is taking a big picture view and looking at how humanity is imprinted through life work, incarnation crosses, their life's work. Remember, 70% of what the imprint is grounded into the earth, part of that creating a channel. Okay, so that's why we want to look at this and see these crosses and know these crosses, because they are a fundamental fixedness to the evolutionary movement of human as we evolve as a species in this mandala wheel as we are born, live and die, live, breed, and die. As we are born, get civilized, bond, breed, and die. It's a bit gross, but what to do? Not gross as in, but just gross, like big picture view. Okay, so this one, hexagram 13, juxtaposition cross of listening, and the left angle cross of masks, the 4323, where we're structuring. Then we have hexagram 49, which is the right angle cross of explanation, 4323, also a part of that. Then we have hexagram 30, juxtaposition cross of fates, and the left angle cross of industry, that 3420, creating the definition, creating that fixed nature. Then we have the 55, right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix, the 3420 being the fixed nature. We are still in mind, order of initiation, purpose fulfilled through learning about the initiation of mind back into form. Hexagram 37, the right angle cross of planning, also the juxtaposition cross of bargains, and the left angle cross of migration. That's the 3740, channel of community. I forgot to mention these channels. Of course, you know that. Charisma, design where thoughts must become deeds. Yeah. Okay. So next, hexagram 22, the juxtaposition cross of grace, and the left angle cross of informing. Next, we have the hexagram 17, and that is where, well, hang on a second here. 12, 22. Yeah, the 22 being that first piece. So now see the shift over the 25 into the 17. So now we have the right angle cross of service. Okay. Right angle cross of service, that 5818 being the channel that is created there. So 4 different crosses of service, all of them having a different focus of the fulfillment of purpose. Hexagram 3 is next, right angle cross of laws. See, making the shift 17 and then 3. This is fulfillment of minds, incarnation. Yeah. Mind initiation into the world of form. Hexagram 3 people, right angle crosses of law. You can see that channel there. Judgment, design of insatiability. This one, mutation, design of energy, which initiates and fluctuates, operates in a pulse. Okay, next, we're back to the next iteration of seeing the ability to structure, but now we're looking at hexagram 23, right angle cross of explanation, 2. So we're in the second quarter now, which is civilization and form. Then the juxtaposition cross of assimilation, because 23 is the gate of assimilation. Left angle cross of dedication is the 4323. All of that, all of those being what creates these different crosses. Still, the first part of the quarter of civilization, so form being the name of the game. Next, we see hexagram 20 as part of, remember, we're looking at our focus being the sun, moving around the wheel seasonally, of course. So we have the right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix 2, now 3420, being about charisma, thoughts becoming deeds. Juxtaposition cross of the now, 3420 and the 3740. And then the left angle cross of duality, the 3420 and the 3740. Next, we have hexagram 16, so still in the initiation or the beginning part of the learning part of the quarter of form, civilization and form. 16, right angle cross of planning, so identifying with community planning. It's part of the cross that is there. So it's interesting that they put these crosses. So we're just looking at all of the crosses, not just where the sun is creating you probably have already noticed where the sun is creating the channel. The next one, hexagram 52, right angle cross of service again, but this is number 2. So then we have a different focus here, and that being the 52, but the channel itself is being made through the 58 and 18, the arms of that cross. Next, we have hexagram 53. We've moved, by the way, with 52 over the 15. So now we're in the fulfillment realm of civilization and form. So when you look at this one, we see the 53 juxtaposition cross of beginnings and the left angle cross of cycles, both of those creating that the arms of the cross are creating channels. And this is very unique, very different, very strong, you could say, because we have 2 motors, very strongly defined life works, fulfillment of purpose, transformation, and maturation, beginnings, middles, and ends of going through cycles of experience and response, and then whatever else is there. So then the next one that we have right here, we see it's still in the quarter of civilization and form. 56 is the right angle cross of laws 2, because it has that 60 and 3. So right angle cross of laws 2 being one of those with the mutation and energy, which operates in a pulse through fluctuating and initiating in response. Next, now this is the demarcation between form and duality. 7, remember, is going to be the first aspect of duality, bonding, as far as our purpose fulfilled through bonding. So now we're seeing the juxtaposition cross of interaction being the one that shows up, with the left angle cross of masks 2 as well. So left angle cross of mask 2, both of those are bringing in this channel 4323. Next one is the 4 right next door. So we're still learning about bonding, duality and bonding. Hexagram 4, the right of explanation 3, because it's in the third quarter. So that's the 4323 right there, structuring, design of individuality. Hexagram 29, right next door. So 7, 4, and 29, all giving us some very strong, you could say, life work, because it's not necessarily always going to be personality. This one's a great example. You see how we have juxtaposition cross of commitment. The juxtaposition cross is always being labeled by the name of the hexagram, that is the sun. Then we have the left angle cross of industry 2, and that's the 3420 again, where we have charisma, design of thoughts becoming deeds. Next is the 59, right next door. So the right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix 3, because it's 3, we have duality, and we're still learning because it's still the first part of the quarter. So charisma, design of thoughts becoming deeds. Next, we have hexagram 40. And in this hexagram, we have 3 different versions that all create a channel. The right angle cross of planning 3, the juxtaposition cross of denial, saying no, says 40, deny. And then we have the left angle cross of migration 2. That's the 3740. So left angle cross of migration 2. Their focus, remember, this is about bonding, fulfillment of purpose through learning about bonding in this first part of the quarter until after, till we get to the 46 and then further. That is the fulfillment. So we're still there in the initiation or the first part of the quarter learning. 47, hexagram 47 up here. So we have the juxtaposition cross of oppression, 47 being about oppression, and also the left angle cross of informing, number 2. So there's the 12, 22, 12 as part of that, creating the channel, the strength, moodiness, emoting. What is openness? A design of social or antisocial being. 18 is after 46. So now we're looking at people who are here to fulfill their life's work through the fulfillment of bonding. 18, bringing the right angle cross of service 3. And so that's been familiar. We've seen 2 iterations so far. The channel of judgment, design of insatiability. Then we have hexagram 50, right angle cross of laws 3. So you can see the repeating pattern here, the 60 and the 3. And then we have hexagram 43 again, opposition in the wheel, the 23. So you know that one's going to show up commonly. This one is the right angle cross of explanation 4. The fact that it says 4 and it's after the first hexagram means we've transitioned over into the world of mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation, and this is learning about transformation. So right angle cross of explanation 4, then the juxtaposition cross of insight, that's what the gate is, and the left angle cross of dedication 2. So the channel that comes up with all of those is structuring, design of individuality, from genius to freak. Okay, and the next one, we're looking at hexagram 34, right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix 4. So as we've seen 3 different iterations, we know this is the channel of charisma, design of thoughts becoming deeds. Because this is the gate of power, the juxtaposition cross of power is going to bring in that 3420 and also the 3740, as well as the left angle cross of duality. So duality, again, showing 2 different channels. what I would like to see, I think, in future iterations is both of the channels, maybe just instead of all of it on one slide, I'm finding that I would prefer to see each one visually. And then if we like flipped through it like a deck of cards, you know, to be able to see the movement, I think the next time I'll do that because it might be kind of fun, you know, new and improved. How can we make this better or more understandable? So we're still in learning, and our next hexagram right next door is 9, and we see the final right angle cross of planning. Number 4, the 3740 being the channel that is created because of those arms of the cross, the opposition in the wheel. Now you can really see why the oppositions are so commonplace as far as the most common kind of human creatures you will find. Yeah, because by this time you see hexagram 58 and you know, of course, yes, judgment, you see. And this being after the 10, you see what I mean? Because we're in the latter part of the quarter of mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation, then you know that it's about the fulfillment of purpose, not just learning about purpose, but the fulfillment of purpose. So our next one is hexagram 54. This being one of the most and also material pressure, drive, gate 54, the juxtaposition cross of ambition, because juxtaposition crosses being labeled by their name, their gate name, this is the gate of ambition. And then we have the left angle cross of cycles 2, where we see both transformation as well as maturation, again, in the second iteration of seeing those two arms creating those channels. Then our last one is hexagram 60, right angle cross of laws, and you see the final iteration of mutation, energy which initiates and operates in a pulse in response, being able to mutate. So that being said, what I did there was just real brief, take you through a little gander around the wheel. So I'm going to do that again, but real quickly so that you can see what I mean here. You might be able to see the movement. I'm going to do it manually, starting back at the top. So starting with initiation. Okay, so we start with the 13 up here in the corner, just kind of soft gaze or focus, whichever one is your preference. Look here and watch as we move throughout the wheel. I'm not going to read this time. We're just going to watch the movement. Okay, so what you're looking at, I'm going to do it quickly and I'm going to go slower. Okay, you see how the movement is happening? There. What you're looking at is the crosses, the life works that are much more consistent, we could say, reliable, trustworthy, fixed in nature. It's another way we could say that. And the reason being is because your purpose is being lived through you without the need for another person to be there, because one of the arms of your cross, or two, in this case, you see that, two, are consistently on. So then there's several ways that we split apart somebody's design from the nature of their public role or their profile. We can look at personal destiny, we can look at transpersonal karma, or in the middle, we can look at fixed fate, right? So now what you're seeing are the definitions that are coming through from your core essence, sun, grounding and balance, either the conscious personality or the unconscious design, in order to fulfill your life's work. So it's showing us why there are certain people that are going to be able to have the light of their purpose shine through them. As an example, you will never find a reflector with any one of these crosses, will you? Because immediately it creates definition. So what you're looking at are these people whose light or grounding of their purpose is a consistent thematic in their life, which is very different from someone who has the potentials, other crosses who don't do this, the potentials in undefined centers, therefore requiring the interaction with life or the other in order to fulfill the life's work, you see. So I wanted to give this to you as a kind of enrichment since there was nobody delivering today, and see what that brings alive inside of you as an awareness. Maybe this is applicable to you. Maybe it's not. I would love to facilitate a conversation if it feels fun for you. Otherwise, if not, I'll go enjoy the rest of my birthday. But having you here is so much fun for me. I got to have a really amazing BG5 class this morning. I mean, just incredible. And the reason for that is because of the conversation. So Diana is saying, learning versus fulfillment. I know it sounds obvious, but is there an example you could give for beings in one versus the other and what that might look like, assuming that they're in alignment? Okay, alignment. Yes, he was in the fulfillment part of mind. Good question, Diana. Okay, so Ra was here, wasn't he? He was here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 51. Okay, so he was on the other side of the 17. The 17 is halfway through that aspect of the wheel. And so the fulfillment, the heretical fulfillment of initiating something new into the world. As far as example, what might that look like, assuming that they're in alignment for the manifester, peace, for the generator, satisfaction, and so forth? Obvious, right? But don't forget that. Okay, because most people get way too caught up in missing the forest for the trees. The most important thing is the fulfillment of purpose through your form being built around the aura. The aura is what creates the body. It's not the other way around. Okay, so that's the first step. Are people with these crosses less likely to be depressed since they have consistent life force energy? I don't know, because my mind immediately goes to, what about if they have this one? Let's go here. Okay, hang on. Because the most important thing is type as far as fulfillment. If you have a different question, I'm happy to go into it. But, you know, each individual having a unique fulfillment of purpose relative to their life's work, whether it's in an undefined center. So here, let's see. This is a good example for both questions. Okay. So hexagram 50, we are in the quarter of the wheel that is about the fulfillment of bonding and the purpose of duality. You and the other being separate, the illusion of separation, coming together and creating more. Here we see a person who has the right angle cross of laws 3. And right there, my mind goes, but what about this person who has the potential to be depressed as part of their process? You see? Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily less likely to be depressed. It might be, you know, where the mind might go and go, well, where's the benefit? Where's the value? And I hesitate for anybody to try and find, oh, this is good because now I have this, and this is bad because I don't have that. Everything is unique and special and different for the fulfillment of your unique fulfillment of purpose. So not comparing, oh, what is it going to be like over here versus over there? Well, as an example, to be very general about it. Okay, so let's go up here and do this again, but from the perspective of trying to be more specific. Okay. My toolbar got upgraded. That's nice. Okay. So I'm wondering if for those people, unnecessary medication or depression could block their life's purpose fulfillment. Not following their decision-making strategy, not honoring their personal integrity of being their own authority, which leads one to potentially taking on medications, self-medicating, to be able to handle the realities of life or not. You know, not that I'm saying it's bad to take medications. I would never say that to a client. I am not saying that to you. But from the perspective of someone using their decision-making strategy to be able to take medications in order to deal with life, sometimes, you know, medications are not all bad. Sometimes some people, defined splenic people, need stronger medication than those who are undefined in the spleen, because we are way more sensitive to medication or drugs. Okay, so what if you are going through a transit, some part of your life's process, it's a large term cycle, it's Neptune and it's going over your moon. Does everybody remember what Neptune is? Illusion, drugs, psychic phenomena, eventually being able to not able to handle the pressures of exoteric reality. So having to self-medicate or just being drawn to go to the doctor and get some help with the loud voices because it's 61. Can you tell Lavina has been there from personal experience, getting help because of the voices? 61. Okay. So I'm not saying that that person getting that medication is not going to be able to fulfill their life's work. What if they had to go through that particular experience in order to learn from the learning or wisdom potential? Where's a 61? Look, 61 up here, not talking about channels anymore, but 61 up here is about deep transformation, a death and rebirth, because you're looking at the quarter of mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation, latter part of the quarter. So we know that this person is going to go through a deep, profound transformation in their life. How can they go through that profound inner truth mysteries if they don't bang up against the internal processing of whatever it is that their design is destined for, or has a transpersonal karmic fulfillment or role to have as an experience? You can't say these generalities. Oh, well, you've got this, so that means that. I hate that. Can you tell? You really can't. Don't put people in a box. Everybody is a magnificent tapestry and puzzle. And the generality is, I'm giving it to you right now. The generality is that if somebody's sun is in an undefined center, then you're looking at something outside of them coming to turn on the light of their purpose, right? Conscious personality sun, connecting up with somebody else, whatever it happens to be in the channel, is very personal. If it's turning on the light of the center, so in this example, we're looking at, let's say, somebody coming in, this is a projected design, somebody coming in with any one of these channels, or with a 33, or 31. So then we know, running at this channel right here, we know that this person's conscious personality is going to be turned on in that engagement with the other. Now, if we look at where the 13 is, we're back at the beginning. I brought you back to the beginning to go through this again. The 13 is at the beginning part of the quarter. So we are learning about listening. Okay, learning about listening in a fixed way. When you see juxtaposition, think 4. What is a 4? A 4 is fixed. A 4 is here to influence. But this one, all things being equal. Remember, we're going through the 70% of the life work, fulfillment of purpose. We're not looking at nuances and subtleties anymore. You would still bring that into somebody's reading, right? We would keynote the channels that are there. So fulfillment of purpose is the fixedness of being able to externalize what this person learned about being a witness, holding secrets, because that's what 13s do. They hold secrets. And this next one, left angle cross of masks, wearing different masks. So the fulfillment of the conscious personality is dependent on other people or transits in order to learn. Now, it's so hard to compare because, can you see, Diana? I don't have a 13 down here. I can't. There's nobody there. But we can go to, let's see if we can find one and see what do we have here. It's not that there's any comparison. But here's an example, okay? A right angle cross of laws. It's similar in nature in that we still have the other channel being deeply mutative. One's a mutative mind, one's a mutative sacral energy, okay? So down here with the 3, the fulfillment of mind's initiation into the world of form, not just learning, but the expression of fulfillment for this one happens to be about the definition, which is locked into mutation. These are the laws. These are the rules. This is what we as a societal structure individually are going to support in order to fulfill the responsibility to the tribe and have our belief systems being passed on to the next generation in order that we can all survive and thrive as a mutative species. So if we were to keynote that whole aspect up here, this is learning. Right? Learning. learning about mind. Down here, the fulfillment of mind, the concretization of mind into the world of form in the next quarter. This is one of those places that we need these people to pass on the laws. Yeah, to support, to educate. 50s are educators, to share, to stimulate. 56 is a stimulation of belief systems out into the collective world. This individual is here to empower and know in order to bring the law. Does that help? I was doing my best. Oh, good. Okay. So what else does that bring up for you questions-wise, my friends? That was fun. I see. Ra wanted people us to have scholars. Some people are way more designed, built for being scholarly like, and maybe doing analyses, reading is not your thing. Some people are teachers. Some people are researchers. You can see, obviously, I'm not the researcher. I get help from Katja and Ariana. They're both 1-3 sphinxes, because without their detailed eye, I'm not able to do this kind of stuff with you. And then in the engagement with the question, something comes through in order for me to explain to you. And I didn't know what that was until it was explained, or some inspiration went through me because of your question. And being a basic split, 2 islands of definition, and also the unconscious sun earth requiring the engagement with the other. Well, no, not the sun, not the earth, just the sun. So the sun, the light of this unconscious purpose in life, being able to be engaged with the other. It's my conscious earth that is undefined sacral. So you could think about this cross, a little off topic, but because it's my design and I don't see any more questions coming in, the personal experience and my perspective being given to you, there are ways that in the world of work, being grounded into this ability to teach from a place of experiential data. So I can't do this without looking at my own chart. Let's see if I can log in. I don't know if I can. Yeah. Well, I need specifics, because I will not go into generalities. I just can't do it anymore. Okay. Now, this is a child, my daughter, who has definition in both aspects of the cross. When you're looking at somebody, see, this cross isn't what's creating, it's the cross of consciousness. It's not what's creating the cross, is not creating the definition, but all of the arms of the cross are in defined centers. And that's the main point that I want to get across. Whether this happens through somebody's incarnation cross, their life's work being defined, or whether this happens through their design, which is what you're analyzing. You're not just analyzing their cross, you're analyzing the design. You want to make sure that you're giving people something tangible, and the most tangible thing that there is their strategy and honoring their authority. So without that, what are we doing? We're just giving them stuff to think, yeah, that's really nice, but how does it apply? You see. You're welcome. My pleasure. Me too, Nina. It feels good. Apologies if you see the eyes closed. I can't do it unless I go inward sometimes to block out. One of the reasons why I've been turning off camera is because I feel odd teaching with my eyes closed. It feels strange, but it's happening more and more lately with the right-facing variable arrow going into feeling rather than getting distracted by what I'm seeing. Sometimes the seeing can definitely inspire, but then going inward is much more supportive of me following a train of thought, because the mind, as you know, unless I'm looking at something on the screen that I'm reading, the mind can go in 3 different directions. Mostly it goes inwards, inner knowing. So I'm glad that that was helpful, Mahilan. We still have about 15 minutes, and I'm going to take my daughter to the store to celebrate shopping. Anything else that you need to be supported by with regards to incarnation crosses, getting your homework done, life purpose fulfillment. I really liked that question, Diana. Thank you for that one. Tuning into your feeling. What do you want to share about the incarnation cross in this moment? Oh, I need a little bit more specific than that, unfortunately. A focus. Would you like to dialogue with me, Nina, and see what comes out of you?
I value your learned experience. Like even, here, how about any mistakes you might have made in doing an incarnation cross? Like maybe you said something, you're like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have said that. Now I know I said it early on. Maybe that kind of thing might be helpful, like a practical, I did this, I don't do that.
Yeah. Good. That's a good one, honey. Okay. What I heard from Ra about the cross living through you at 50 and beyond, and that a lot of people get hopped up on the incarnation. I want to know my incarnation cross analysis. You know, I don't really encourage them. I don't feel it's necessarily helpful unless a certain kind of design or a certain age, right? So after 50, absolutely incarnation cross analysis. I would definitely recommend that. So 6-line people, just knowing that when you're giving them an analysis, that the fulfillment of their fullest experience and expression of their highest life work, 50 and beyond. So there's a way of handling this. Here we go. Of interpreting or helping a client through this without making them feel like, oh, you just got to wait till you're 50, you know? And so whatever it is, depending on their type, if it's a step-by-step process that they need because they're a pure generator, then that's what you give them. You know, they're a 6-2, they're in their first 30 years, maybe holding off on the life work until they've gone through at least a cycle of deconditioning. 7 years. So what do you do while you wait? You step them through the process of deconditioning and aligning, because ultimately, especially the pure sacral generators, they don't need anything else other than their own response, and everything else is mind candy, you know? So the other mistake that I've made in my teaching practice was getting too caught up on keynotes without knowing all keynotes yet. So I can remember saying, well, that's not that voice. This is it, you know, being very certain when I heard certain words coming up. And I still get surprised to this day, you know. So coming from a place of curiosity rather than rigid and inflexible with the language. Ultimately, you are your own authority. So if something comes out of you, and I've seen this a lot of times with me, especially because of the this design being unconscious as a speaker. Sometimes I wouldn't know where things were coming from, but it felt right to say it, and so I did. And even if I didn't know exactly where it was coming from, oftentimes people would say, wow, how'd you know that? And so I had to let go of my mind actually identifying with something specific and just trusting that the voice knew what to say and when to say it and how to say it, not just what to say. So with your keynoting, not getting so rigid, being able to hold it lightly because your finger's pointing at truth. Ultimately, they are their own authority. And if you see, this mind used to have a big power trip over, I know. Yeah, you come to me. I know, I can tell you. Yeah, I'm a projector. Please, let me guide you. So being able to trust that the form, that person is in front of you for a reason, that even if your mind is saying, I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth, right there, what Nina did for me was she heard the asking in my voice that I needed somebody to prompt me, because otherwise I'm just sitting here. I don't have anything to say unless you're going to pull something specific because the focus. So your career enduring in this particular system depends upon you continually learning. If you're a 5-1, at some point you might be full and that's enough, and you go off and develop your own heresy. You know, you got enough of foundation, you've got your own message. Wonderful. For most of us, it is a constant practice of evolvement, and you just get finer and finer preciseness and nuance. That's not to say that your first analyses are not valuable. They are. They're part of the learning and growth process that you had to have in order to get to wherever it is that you're going to go. So if I look back on my career, I can be incredibly embarrassed thinking about like that example with that young woman who was looking for a career analysis. And I was told to tell her the strength of management. And then when I came across it years later, I mean, I'm talking like 6 years later, and I hear Ra telling me, don't call this management in an individual, that would be a mistake, just crying that I had told somebody something quote unquote false. But if you think about it from the big picture viewpoint of you have no choice, it is what it is, and it's all okay, accepting what is, yeah, part of the life's work, fulfillment. This mind, the fulfillment of this incarnation cross, if you go and read it, it's hysterical. Ra gives this example of the contagion 3-5 taking you away from something. So misdirecting you. I misdirected that woman, and that's part of my cross. What to do? It is what it is. You know, so you might, if you listen, and I listen to myself, I'm a personal perspective person, I notice this happening. When I'm coaching people, oftentimes I ask them mistake the question that is actually an But when they go, it brings them closer to the Okay, if it's not that, let's go over here, process of elimination. So I had to get really used to the fact that stuff flies out of this mouth that might be a mistake. And yet that is part of the fulfillment of this learning about what mind is and does in this life for this person. Innocent instrument of fate who can step in and change the fate of others through learning, experience, and discovery, or something to that effect. Okay, so in the beginning, when I found out about this, so think about each of your life's work. Okay, you are either personal destiny, transpersonal karma, or in the middle fixed fate. So personal destiny crosses are very personal as a process. It's not necessarily about specific people that you have to interact with. It's all your own personal process. For the vast majority of the life, over one's life, you of course have cycles that also come in and influence how you show up. But then if we look at the transpersonal karmic fulfillment of purpose, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, 6-3, you are the people who have a very specific fulfillment of something that you are bringing to the table. And I'm going to reframe this because I've been puzzling over this for quite a long time. If you think about the first personal destiny people from 1-3 to 4-6, they are those beings who are here to be able to fulfill their personal destiny through being research and development areas of the hexagram. 4-1's juxtaposition cross, they have a fixed fate. The solidity of the foundation, the externalization of the friendliness, familiarity, opportunity of that hexagram, whatever their process happens to be. And then we have transpersonal karma people. So by you who are 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, 6-3, interfacing with me, I do all this research and development. I pass it on to you. Part of your karmic fulfillment of purpose, transpersonal, is to take this information from me, however it is that's correct for you to do so, and bring it to specific people because you're the only one that can get through to them, Nina and Raquel and anybody else that's listening who's a transpersonal fulfillment of purpose. You are the only one that can bring that message forth, 5s, you see. So my understanding so far of this life being about mistakes and then being able to pass the information on, the most wonderful gift I find is to be able to not only pass it on, the contagion, the infection of human design, but also to see how it transforms you in your process, in your body, and then being able to take that out into the world. And that is what I've learned as a cross of contagion and find so fascinating because, see, without, as a basic split, without the ability to give to you the commitment back to you, yourself, and your process, I wouldn't have anybody to contagiate or affect. And that's part of the meaningfulness of having an undefined aspect of an incarnation cross. See, Certain people bring me grounding. My husband is a 46-6. He has a harmonic gate activation, as well as the 6 is harmonic to the 3. So our discovery of succeeding in relationship where our others have failed, it's our third marriage after all, is just one example of how transpersonally, he's a 5-1, karma fulfillment can happen between two beings. You're very welcome. Until next week or whenever it is that I see you, enjoy your studies, your experience, your growth in your own personal brand of wisdom. You each have it, and you can trust that. That is the biggest sense of confidence. I can assure you that at some point you'll get it for you. And that's the most important thing that unlocks everything else. And then you just get to play in the Leela of Maya, the dance and the song that we all sing to walk each other home. Namaste. Bye for now.